All right, good morning, and thanks for joining us. You know how much we adore tracking election results, and here we are again. The best part about being Indian is that there's always an election happening somewhere. And the big state elections, as we've been looking at it, of Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir, the results are coming out today. It's a really important, election results because these are important states. Remember, there'll also be Maharashtra in about a month or so. But these two are important. Jammu and Kashmir, because this is the first state election since the status of the state became a union territory, first assembly elections since it became a union territory. And Haryana, of course, because it's a really important state. We're going to have a few numbers already trickling in. Remember, the counting starts at about 8:30, but those are largely postal votes that we're talking about. But from the leads that we're looking at right now, in Haryana, it does appear that the Congress party, and if we look at the Times of India, at least the Congress party seems to have crossed the halfway, which is at 46 out of 90 seats already with its leads. And in Jammu and Kashmir, remember the BJP looks right now, according to at least the Times of India, that it's leading in a few seats, and we'll have to see as that plays out. Taking you through what the exit polls had told us, the exit polls had predicted a win for the Congress in Haryana, and it seems to be playing out in that manner. And in Jammu and Kashmir, there was a win that was predicted for the NC, which is the National Congress, and the Congress, arrangement, or the Gathbandhan that was there, the coalition. Joining me right now to help me understand all of these things is Mr. Javed Ansari, very senior journalist who's tracked multiple elections and seen all of this come and go. Mr. Ansari, good morning, and thank you so much for giving us time. You've always been so generous with your time, and for me personally, it's a pleasure to sit down and chat
It,
with you.
it is my
Um,
privilege to be on your show.
so let's do Haryana first, Mr. Ansari. It's a really interesting morning in Haryana because Haryana has been a BJP stronghold for a while. Is that changing?
It is changing and changing in a big way. I was just watching the results while just before coming on air. The Congress was leading in 48, BJP down to 15. So some of the predictions, especially Mr. Yogendra Yadav's prophecy, appears to be coming true. That if indeed these trends hold, this will be a runaway victory for the Congress, and Congress is likely to end up above 60, around 65, or even more. So it won't just be a Hawa election, but probably a wave election, if not a tsunami. The BJP left to pick up the crumbs is down to 15, could go down even further, because if the past is anything to go by, once the lead is, once a party establishes such a big lead, even the marginal seats where there's a fight for say 5,000 votes or less tends to go with the party which is leading in such a big way. So Congress standing to gain there, big gains for the Congress in Haryana.
But what do you think has been the change in Haryana? And they were looking at those leads now that we popped up on our screen. Congress leading in 64 out of 90 seats in Haryana. That's massive. That's a
It
massive
is.
difference.
Look, two things. One, this is a binary election. Congress versus the BJP. All the other minor players, the spoilers, the JGPs, the Chotalas, the BSP, and everybody else has been wiped out, just wiped out. The
Hmm,
other
hmm.
10 years of anti-incumbency, the Agniveer, the failure, the unpopularity of the Agniveer scheme,
Yeah.
unemployment, farmers' distress, and also we cannot and must not at any cost underestimate the contribution of one Miss Kangana Ranaut. These obnoxious, callous statements made by them. You're rubbing salt into the wounds of the farmers, into the farming community. After Punjab, Haryana is the second most, aggregated state in this country, and then you try and insert them in the manner in which they did. All this, everything is combined to come and sting the BJP in its back.
No, are you actually saying, Mr. Ansari, that Kangana Ranaut has costed the BJP an election? to
No,
some
she hasn't
extent.
cost. She alone hasn't cost them an election. I won't give her so much of importance. But when things begin to go wrong, they go badly wrong. Everything just seems to uh, you know nothing seems to go right. And this is one election in Haryana where for the BJP nothing appeared to. I mean, look at Mr. Ashok Tanwar. This was a party, the BJP, the grand Chanakya of Indian politics, Mr. Amit Shah. He used
Hmm.
to engineer defections from right under the nose of the Congress party. And for once, they paid him back in the same coin in Haryana. Ashok Tanwar, till 2 o'clock that afternoon, was campaigning for the BJP.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then Mr. Rahul Gandhi lands up there, and at 3 o'clock, he's sharing the dice with Mr. with Mr. Gandhi, with Mr. Huda, and he joins the BJP, and he joins the Congress party. From right under the nose of Mr. Amit Shah, Mr. Khattar, and all those so-called, Godi media anointed Chanakyas of Indian politics. So what were they doing? So this just goes to show, when jab hawa badalti hai, when people turn against you, there is very little you can do. And this is a glaring example. This is one such glaring example, Haryana, where everything just turned. So all your machinations, all your tiglambazi, nothing bears fruit because the people have turned. And the tide, I mean, all you had to do was drive 10 kilometers into Haryana, and it was evident that the BJP has a mountain to climb there.
Well, if we'll also take a look at Jammu and Kashmir in a little while, but I do want to discuss with you the wrestler protest,
Yes, and I
because the
forgot.
wrestler
Um,
protest has also had quite an impact on this election, right?
Yes, and the way they were manhandled, the way they were abused, the way they were insulted, the way they were, harassed. These poor girls, they were sleeping out in the open at Jantar Mantar. I'm an eyewitness. I've been there. I've seen it. You know, hubris is a very bad thing, and all political this is common between all governments. Once former Prime Minister Mr. Gujral once told me that once you are in power, you forget that it sometimes even rains. That's the kind of ecosystem. That's the kind of barrier that comes to envelop you between you and the people, and this is
Mm.
what happens. Perhaps Mr. Modi and his followers believed that they could get away with murder. There was a time when Mr. Modi, anything that he turned, even when if he touched cow dung, it turned into gold. That no longer is true. It goes on to prove that Mr. Modi's Midas touch is now deserting him. That this myth of their invincibility has been punctured. It was punctured in 2000 on June 4th, and the ground is now slipping from under their feet. The defeat or the magnitude, the enormity of this result in Haryana will hasten that process. And in your state of Maharashtra, if
Mm.
elections go the way their indications are that they will go, then this process will be hastened. I've been in the past week interacting with a lot of senior leaders from the India Alliance, NCP, Sena, Congress, as well as others here in Delhi. And they are more than convinced that the days that come Maharashtra elections, and once they are over, the days of the central government will be numbered. They believe, they are of the view that this government may not last its full term in Delhi.
I do want to point out, and I'm just going to ask my team to pop it up on the screen. We have to look at Jammu and Kashmir here. Um, I think the NC Congress alliance has now crossed halfway mark in trends. It's still early in the morning, but when the gaps are these wide, I think it becomes fairly obvious. NC and Congress are at 49. The halfway mark, I think, is 40. It's 43 for for Jammu and Kashmir. But interesting here, Mr. Ansari, BJP 26 in JNK is probably a number they would not have had earlier. Things
No, no,
have
no.
changed there. This is
No,
Jammu, you're saying entirely.
yes, Jammu, yes. After the delimitations, after the way in which the constituencies were carved out, eked out, where the Muslim dominated areas were spread out in different constituencies to ensure that they didn't play a major role, at least in the Jammu. There are 43 seats after delimitation in the Jammu region. And the BJP was banking heavily on that, on winning at least 25 to 30 seats there, and then hoping that the Rashid engineers, the Ghulam Nabi Azads, and all the other independents who've been put there would win enough seats. And do not forget that there are 5 seats which the Governor of J&K can nominate. Those 5 would obviously be pro-government, pro-BJP. So they were banking on that. Even now, if the Congress and if these numbers hold, the Congress and NC can breathe easily, or else it would be very difficult for them to govern, because with these numbers, the BJP will be constantly breathing down its neck. So what you're witnessing in J&K is a clear divide. Jammu, a hugely polarized election. In the Jammu region, the BJP winning majority of the seats. In the valley, the NC and the Congress moving ahead.
So, those 4, 5, the 5 seats that the governor is going to nominate in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, there's some question about whether those 5 seats will actually be involved in forming the government, or will they be outside of that halfway mark? I
No,
wasn't
no,
able to, my team wasn't able to find that clarity.
no, no.
Sarah, who does
From
the research for us. So, what do you think,
all
Mr. Ansari?
all indications, at least so far, are that they will be a part of the process. There is nothing to suggest that they will not, especially if the no confidence. They will come into play when the no confidence motion, when the confidence motion is put to vote,
Hmm.
when the floor test happens, and even a nominated member. This is what earlier there used to be 2 Anglo-Indian nominated members in the Lok Sabha.
Yes.
And I know from personal experience, Mr. Frank Anthony in my time and one other gentleman, they used to take part. They've taken part in conference motions. But so, yes, this has been done. All this has been very carefully crafted, done with an eye to ensuring a hung assembly and thereby making these people play a pivotal role there.
We have an interesting question from Aman Peshawari, who says, going a mark further, if the BJP JDU alliance lose in Bihar next year, what does this mean for the NDA in the center? I think he's responding to what you said about if Maharashtra goes badly for the BJP, where there is some indication that that might be the case, may be the case. And if Bihar goes badly, then what does that mean for the NDA? What does that mean for the BJP?
QED, quack erat demonstrandum, then it will be curtains. And even if this government continues in Delhi, the government will be in power, but it won't be able to govern. As it is after June 4th, much of the swagger, you know, has gone. The sheen has gone off this government. They just celebrated 100 years in power. There was nothing there was nothing to celebrate. There were no celebrations. The kind of momentum a new government in the early days of its term generates, that is missing. So more than anything, the June 4th verdict has had a huge psychological impact, and on none else than the Prime Minister himself.
So just to explain to our audience what, this is what I was saying about the halfway mark, right? You're looking at the Jammu and Kashmir leads on your screen right now. A lot of the leads that the BJP is looking at, which is at 29, is coming from the Jammu region, which one expected would be the BJP stronghold. From the Kashmir region, not so much. As you can see, the Congress and the NC together, led by Omar Abdullah, and we'll come back to a conversation with him about him, at 49, well past that halfway mark. But there's a question about the halfway mark of 46. Now, as Mr. Ansari said, when the status of Jammu and Kashmir was changed from a state to a union territory in that reorganization in 2019, the rules were changed to allow the LG to nominate 5 members to the assembly. Now, these are the 5 members: 2 women, 2 Kashmiri Pandits, and 1 individual who is displaced from Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Now, the question that keeps arising, and this is a question that the India Today asked, and I understand the Hindu asked as well, which is that will these five nominated people actually be part of government formation? So, can their preference actually change sides? And I'll put one side in power. Omar Abdullah leading in Badgaon, from what I understand. Mr. Ansari is of the opinion that there is no reason to believe that these five people who will be picked by the LG, who will obviously be pro center, pro BJP, will have a say when it comes to a no conference motion on the floor as to who will stay in power. Will the NC and the PDP form a post poll alliance? Omar seems to have kept the door open in recent days. Mr. Ansari, do you think, but I don't see, is there a reason for NC to welcome the PDP at all into this alliance? They don't need those numbers.
No, with 49, they need to be comfortably placed. With 49, they are not. They're just four above the halfway mark. 90 is the strength of the assembly. So they just 49 is just, now they're down to 45 and BJP is up to 33. So even assuming that uh, they get 49 or 50 seats, they still need to be comfortably placed. And that's why they will need the PDP. And that's why Mr. Farooq Abdullah, for the last couple of days now, has been saying that even if we get a majority on our own, we will try and bring the PDP into the fold and try and have them in government, because it needs to be an inclusive government and all that. All that is window dressing. The fact is that they just want to be able to, they're buying an insurance policy so that, because the center you can easily get one or two to defect after some time, some ED case, some CBI, some income tax.
Mm. And also that gap is not very wide, right? So the
No,
two
it
of
is
them
not.
together,
45 is just about the halfway mark.
and the BJPs are 33.
Hmm.
So the BJP is not a non-entity here. It is quite a strong, member of opposition.
It is a strong member of his opposition, and it is running away with the majority of the seats. 43 out of 43, if they're winning 33 in Jammu, that's a very good showing. And they it was a very highly polarized election in Jammu. You could feel it.
Mm.
I mean, it was palpable once you stepped out on the street and you started talking to people. It was palpable. And
Omar
I
Abdullah
think
is
the Congress
contesting.
may,
Sorry,
I
Omar
think the
Abdullah is
Congress
contesting two
missed a
seats.
trick. Yes, he
Sorry.
is, because he lost he lost his Lok Sabha seat, and after that, and especially after Rashid Engineer was very mysteriously granted bail and allowed to go in campaign, and the kind of resources that they had at their disposal. Obviously, there was he smelled he realized there was something amiss, and he didn't want to take a chances. He didn't want to take chances, and therefore he's contested from two.
So here's the question: will the five nominees from the LG's office come in addition to the 33 that the BJP already has, then thereby taking them up to 38?
I'm assuming it will. I'm assuming it will, till there is a clarification or somebody or the government puts, or the EC puts out something. I'm assuming they will.
Just reading out some of the comments that are coming in. We have Parth Ghosh, who says, to answer Aman's question, the center will depend on Mamta Banerjee for survival in parliament despite her corruption. Um, I'm not really sure what he means by that. Meaning that Bengal will be allowed to be ruined both in terms of GDP and human index in exchange for support. I don't foresee a universe in which Mamta Banerjee will support the BJP. Do you see that?
No, I think that's stretching time. It'll be, although in politics you can never say never. However, given the circumstances, because look, the BJP, it doesn't suit either the BJP or Mamta Banerjee. They are principal adversaries in the state.
There's also Raj Kumar who says, what about the Indian nation in all its politics, military, administration, police? The government is self serving. What about the people? There seems to be also a little bit of unhappiness when it comes to taxation, the kind of services people are getting for in return for those taxation. We'll come back to that. But you were talking about Jammu and the polarization. Did the Congress mess up a little bit in Jammu by not
Yeah,
being clear?
I think the Congress missed the trick, and so much so that it required their ally, somebody who is economical with his words, like Umar Abdullah, to publicly request Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi to concentrate on Jammu because the NC was taking care of
Kashmir.
the valley. The valley was already in their control. What they needed to was make a dent in Jammu, and that's where the Congress ought to have concentrated its men, money, and resources, focused its energies there, which many believe the Congress did not.
So there is some confusion about the fact that the Congress was not clear about its messaging because there was some talk about, oh, we will roll back 370 if we come into power, we will
No, no, no,
demand
no. Congress,
statehood.
Congress never said they will roll back 370. They said we will do everything we possibly can to restore statehood.
Mm,
Statehood and 370 are two very distinct. Congress, even in their manifesto, never said 370. Congress has never, it's been very careful. They've been very careful because 370 is a red rag for a lot of people. And Congress being a national party, the BJP would have used it
yeah.
across the country. So the Congress was very careful. They never openly supported the idea of 370. Statehood, yes, they lent their support to statehood, restoring statehood, but not 370.
Let's also go back to Haryana for a second and we'll take a look at Haryana. So we have some leads coming in. Congress's Bipindra Hooda is leading in his constituency of Garhi, Sampla, and and he's doing well. But if we look at that gap right now, in Haryana, the Congress is leading in 56. The BJP is leading in 28. That's 12 lower than it was last time. These are the latest numbers that we're looking at. Enough of a gap for you to say that the Congress is comfortably winning Haryana,
Yeah,
Mr. Ansari?
I'll be, I would be very surprised if the Congress goes and botches up Haryana also. So I'll be very, very surprised. They'll win. They'll win comfortably. They
They'll
will
win
win
comfortably here.
comfortably.
So that middle, the halfway mark is at 45. The Congress is at 57. On our screen, it's at 54. Our numbers tend to be a little more careful than what
These
we're
are
saying about
these are early
early
days yet,
trends.
early trends, and this will keep fluctuating till about 11 o'clock, 11:30. But these trends do indicate that the Congress and whatever little anecdotal information we are able to collect from Haryana, it, the Congress should be home and dry.
We did mention earlier about the Agniveer scheme. Now, Haryana tends to be a state that sends a lot of its young people to the armed forces. The Agniveer scheme has been a sore spot. What do you think the BJP's reasons were to hold on to that scheme at the risk of perhaps losing electoral, footholds?
So, if you see one of the hallmarks or trademarks of Mr. Modi's style of governance is not consensual. He doesn't believe in the consensual style. He
Mm,
he would like to portray. He likes to describe himself as a decisive leader. But if you ask the public, his decisiveness has now been replaced with authoritarianism. He leans more towards authoritarianism than decisiveness. There's a fine distinction, but which appears to have been blurred. He doesn't believe in stepping back. He believes it's a sign of weakness if you roll back. However, that being said, after June 4th, he's had to roll back four schemes. Agniveer was a product of the previous of the second term of this government, and he doesn't want to take it. He believes it'll be a huge
mm,
sign of his weakness. Little realizing that it's costing them big time. Every time I drive out of UP, I used to drive out of Delhi, especially in UP, in Haryana, in Punjab. You see a lot of these youngsters running by the side of the road. They run at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and I used to think they must have gone bonkers. I mean, why would somebody run at 12 o'clock in the afternoon? So I once stopped my car and I asked him, I said, why are you doing this? He says, because we are preparing for the physical, for paramilitary, and for the army. We have these schemes. Now, all that has gone up in smoke. And they will not be entitled to pension. They will not be entitled to any insurance. Their parents will not be entitled to any benefit. Army, apart from this thing of serving the nation and valor and all that, was also a huge source of employment and very stable employment. It guaranteed you pension, it guaranteed you medical allowance. All that just went up in smoke. And they didn't probably, like demonetization, the government didn't think this through. They decided on something,
Mm.
and they believed there were too many overheads for the government. The government army was spending too much of money just paying salaries, and therefore you needed to cut the flab. But in cutting the flab, the political cost, that the way they went about it, first of all, and then the political cost that they have incurred is huge.
Well, the while caste also plays a massive role in the
Massive.
Haryana elections. I do want to point out the Aam Aadmi Party here with a grand total of zero. Because when Kejriwal came out of jail, there was a lot of buzz about the fact that he's released right in time for the Haryana election, giving him the ability to perhaps make a little more of a dent. That dent was obviously not meant to be.
No, one big reason is they don't have too much of a party apparatus there. And in a
Mm,
highly polar, in a binary election, when the fight is when the public sentiment is largely in favor of throwing out the incumbent government, all the other minor players, and this business of vote katwa is now catching us. This sentiment, people are growing wise to this. All these smaller parties, they only end up cutting votes, and then when you don't have a party apparatus there, suddenly a week or 10 days before elections you're released. So I'm not surprised. I'm not in the least surprised that the Aam Aadmi parties ended up the way it is. I probably thought they would get one or two seats, but then and the Congress party's political managers, especially Mr. Huda and all of them, were of the view that there is little to be gained for the Congress by going
mm.
in for an alliance. This is a binary election, and let's go and maximize our uh, gains in the state. And they've been proved correct, and I'd say.
Mr. Ansari, what is your reading of the Aam Aadmi Party right now as it stands? We have Atishi as Delhi Chief Minister. Arvind Kejriwal is sort of, I think, figuring out his strategy for Delhi. Um, on a scale of 1 to 10, how strong is the Aam Aadmi Party, in your opinion?
6.
6.
Yeah.
So the
I
accusations on.
still believe that I believe that Congress, they've suffered their image has been dented. All these people being jailed, Kejriwal not being allowed to function, and then this is the third term. Let's not forget he'll be seeking a third term, and it's all
Yeah.
not very easy. It's not very easy. Kejriwal being jailed, a lot of the leaders being jailed, they haven't been able to or not been allowed to function the way it is. And the Congress senses an opportunity now. That's why, if you notice, both Rahul and Priyanka are embarking on a padyatra in Delhi. Different on
Mm.
different dates, both of them will be in action. They'll be crossing around across most of the constituencies. From whatever little information I have, it seems to suggest that they will try and touch upon each of the constituencies in Delhi, which should not be very difficult. Delhi will go to the polls sometime early next year, and they want to just try and generate some momentum in their favor. Congress believes that that they can regain some of the lost ground, and most of that ground they've lost to the Aam Aadmi Party.
Actually, so do you believe that the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress will not fight Delhi as allies? And it's possible that after 10 years, the Congress will come back and make its mark in Delhi and reclaim some of that ground?
At the moment, things seem to indicate everything points to the fact that the Congress believes they are in with a chance to at least retain or regain some of the lost ground. Whether the Congress will gain enough strength to come storming back to power, I don't know. I'd be surprised if that happens. But I do believe that the Congress can,
Mm.
come back and regain some of the lost ground, and once again become a force to reckon with. Right now, it's been reduced to a rump. All they don't have a single MLA. in the Delhi Assembly.
So, for example, some of the leads that are coming in right now, Iltija Mufti is trailing in her stronghold. This is according to India Today. Iltija Mufti is Mehbooba Mufti's daughter, who is third generation and contesting for the first time. Apparently, not doing too well. Vinesh Pogak, though, is leading in in Julana, where she is contesting. Here's a question. If the Congress manages to hold on to this and forms a government in Haryana, who do you think will be chief minister? Will there be some infighting there as well between Kumari Shalja and Bhupinder Huda? This is again a question from Aman.
Yeah, both Kumari Shelja and Surjewala have made no secret of the fact that they would also like to become chief minister. But whether that will happen, only the Congress High Command will decide. Kumari Shelja is banking on the fact that Rahul Gandhi will lend his weight behind Shelja and make her the chief minister, whereas Bhupinder Singh Hooda and all the others are in favor of the fact that the opinion of the MLAs must be given due weightage. And given the way the tickets have been distributed, the lion's share of those tickets have gone to Huda's supporters. So let's say it's a difficult. They'll have a task in trying to manage the various contradictions there.
This will be an interesting thing, though. Basically, we're waiting to see how this ends, but it looks like the Congress, they're forming a comfortable government in Haryana. The BJP at 28, a massive blow for the BJP. Again, knowing what we know about Mr. Amit Shah and his ability to strategize elections, and the fact that we know that Maharashtra elections also not really going very well in their favor, because we recently had Nitin Gadkari question the strategy of the Maharashtra government. Is there a crumbling infighting within the BJP as well?
Certainly. And apart from the fact, there's a sell by date for everything. Till today, the BMC elections have not been held. Why? It's been a year and a half or 2 years since it was due. Why have they been over? And in all fairness, the Maharashtra Assembly election should have been held along with Haryana and J&K. There was no earthly reason for them to keep it in abeyance and hold it in November. Why? And the specious argument put forward was that there were festivals. Well, as we speak, there are festivals happening in Haryana. There's Dasara, and then there will be Diwali. There are festivals at every uh, in almost every second month there's a huge festival in this country. So that's not a good enough argument. It was purely done to give the BJP the alliance in Maharashtra more time and to allow schemes like Ladli Behna and all that some more time to take effect so that the BJP could help try and cash it in votes when it comes to election time. But that's not happening. And it was a political decision. There was there was no convincing administrative decision. And for a government that makes a big deal about one nation, one poll, you can't hold three states elections to three states assemblies at the same time, and you want to hold elections across the length and breadth of the country, both Lok Sabha and Assembly elections at the same time. How are they going to manage it? It's a very poor advertisement for their ability to hold simultaneous polls.
Yeah, that's true. So it's actually, this is an indication that you can't have one nation, one election. There has to be some
Well, certainly you can't.
government might
It's an idea again like
try to do so.
demonetization and Agniveer.
Mr. Ansari, I'm going to leave it with you. Whether we can come back and watch these.
Are we off now?
I'm sorry, I'm having some challenges with my internet connection, but I'm back
No
now, Mr.
problem.
Ansari. Thank you for holding on there, and thank you for our audience for holding on as well. Uh, so it does seem, of course, that Congress is winning comfortably in Haryana. Yasser has given us 14 Canadian dollars. Thank you so much for that. For that contribution. Do of course. For our audiences, try and sign up for our membership and contribute financially. It helps us basically do a better job because it helps us become more financially viable. Remember, the news is something we don't charge for at this point. And if we are to take on the big guys with their big studios, then we need for our audience to support us better. Uh, so that's always an interesting conversation to have with you, Mr. Ansari. After the exit polls fiasco of the general elections, have we seen the television studios sort of tone down a little bit this time because they're a little more, shall we say, humble about their exit polls?
It will take another debacle for them to be humble, but certainly, like with the central government and with the Modi, some of the swagger, the bluff and bluster has gone down. But we will know only at the end of the day. I'd like to wait and see whether people do uh, their version of the foxtrot on screen, where all the singing and dancing takes
Yes.
place, or it doesn't. Because
Well, it depends on what they're foxtrotting about, because normally the journalists who dance for the BJP will have very little to dance about this time. Although the
they may
BJP in
they may crow
Haryana,
about they'll crow about Jammu and Kashmir.
Crow and Jammu and Kashmir.
And
At
and
the
and if the Haryana trend holds, then they'll say,
mm,
"Okay, look, we got even in a tsunami, we got 37 seats." But I don't think now this is going to change. They'll end up
yeah, but
there.
they will have to acknowledge the tsunami first, which they're not going to do.
They never do.
So, for the BJP at 37, given where it was in the previous government, do you think again it's just anti-incumbency, or were the changes that were made by the BJP in choice of chief minister, breaking the Chotala alliance as they had, were these bad choices and missteps?
No, Mr. Khattar was highly unpopular, but Naib Singh Saini, nobody knows. Nobody
Hmm.
knew him in Haryana.
Yeah.
And we don't even know if he's winning his seat or not. It will be very important because word coming out of Haryana towards the end of the elections was that he's struggling to stay alive in that seat. So I don't really know. But if they win 37, then this is not bad given the
Hmm.
circumstances. But I don't believe this will hold for long.
What do you mean by I don't believe this will hold? Do you think these leads will then shave off towards the course of the day?
No, yeah, I think so. As it is from 59, the Congress is now down to 49. So
Hmm.
these things keep changing.
Actually, Mr. Ansari, I want to point out the JJP here. At one
Totally
point,
wiped out.
kingmakers with their 10 seats, now zero.
Yes, this is JGP is they were, you know, they projected themselves as the legatees of Devilal's political legacy. And look what has happened. This is what happens when you fight infighting, when you take things for granted, when you indulge in too many of these political machinations and manipulations, when you allow yourself to be used by the bigger parties, this is what happens. And they've gone, both the factions. Now, as an offshoot, in a year from now or 8 months from now, the different, the, both the sons and the multiple grandsons will reunite. Whether that will yield anything politically, I don't know, but I guess,
Omar Abdullah likely to be chief minister in Jammu and Kashmir?
yeah, that shouldn't be a surprise if the NC Congress government gets a combination gets a majority, because Farooq Saab will not go back, and Umar should be. It's a bit disappointing if Iltija loses because she's a young, promising young lady. The first selection, articulate, educated, you know.
But there
I
was
would
I remember some concern about the fact that while she's a mufti, she hasn't spent as much time in the
yeah,
state.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Because she was moved Mehbooba moved her out of the valley for her own reason. And she's not very conversant, proficient in the language. All that is there. But she's a third. And somehow people haven't of the valley haven't forgiven the PDP. They believe they hold the PDP responsible for allowing the BJP a foothold in the valley.
I want to bring back Haryana if we can. On the screen, there seems to be a change in those numbers. Um, it's starting to look a little closer. India Today is calling it a tight fight between the BJP and the Congress. I'm just going to ask my team to check those numbers one more time as to why it is a tight fight. Let me just check it on a couple of other sources as well, Mr. Ansari. Do you want to check as well? We'll just take a minute to see what's happening with Haryana. Could those trends actually be turning in some way? So, according to the Times of India, it says the Congress is leading in 46 and the BJP in 35. According
Look,
to
News 24 has them leading in 58 and the BJP 17. India Today
India Today is the one that's, I mean, it
57.
has Anil Vij
India
and a little child on air right now. I'm not sure why. But India Today is showing the Congress in 42 and the BJP in 44. How can that be possible? I mean, that would suggest that the numbers have turned very drastically quite recently. I'm not seeing that number reflect anywhere else.
Yeah, let's hold our horses. I mean, there'll be clarity in the next hour, 45 minutes.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Faye, can I take leave now because I have another program at.
Yes, yes. Thank
Okay,
you so much, Mr. Ansari. Thank you
my
for
pleasure.
joining us.
Thank you.
It'll be interesting though if this turns around right now, just when
Oh,
you are
then this will
leaving.
be the mother of all routes, mother of
This
all
will be the mother
debacles.
of all routes. I've never seen any other election turn like this though. Before I let you go, have you seen this happen before?
Yeah, 41, 45, BJP 45.
Snatching, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory as always. We have Sayanthan join us. Sayanthan, very interesting. India Today says Congress is leading in 41, BJP in 45, both parties at 40, 43, 43 right now. So, Congress was looking like it was a landslide or a sweep in the beginning in the morning, but that is turning. NDTV is calling 44 for the BJP and 41 for the Congress. Haryana is going towards the BJP. What a surprise.
Um, yes, I think that the trend has changed at this stage. On TV, it is showing that the BJP India Today BJP is 44, Congress 43. So analyzing it at this stage is difficult because if the way it was earlier, the Congress was gaining. The way earlier it was showing that the BJP was in decline. But if at this stage, what the election result, if this stands, then the BJP has not declined. BJP has even BJP has become stronger in that sense, and also the exit polls predictions which came, that is also going in vain. So for Haryana, it is a very significant and very tough competition because we have not seen, as you just mentioned, we have not seen that change in this level happens after that much of a gain. But at
Yeah.
the same time, it depends in state elections, as you know, that it depends on which sections of the counting results are coming in, from which booths it is coming in. So that is why it differs. So I think we should hold our horses and wait at least an hour to see that where the number settles, because at this stage number of seats of the BJP is increasing significantly. If it is 47, then there is a gain of 7 seats than the last time also. So
This is
it is
not, Sai, this is not what the exit polls had predicted for Haryana either. The exit polls was giving the Congress quite a clean sweep of Haryana. Let me see. Dainik Bhaskar, People's Pulse, Republic, India Today, Sea Voter, all giving the Congress around 50 out of 90 seats, and not giving the BJP. None of them gave the BJP more than 30 seats. This is the exit polls. Now we're looking at the two of them are actually evenly pitched at this point. This is turning into a very interesting. I love when elections turn into nail biters. It gives us so much more to do
absolutely.
as journalists.
Absolutely, and like one mandate, I think should be very clear that do away with exit polls. That the if you, like in
How will you make money?
2024,
How will you make money if
uh,
you do away with exit polls?
so
This is how TV channels make money.
2024 Lok Sabha election also it was like it came into play that the exit polls are really not working. And if the Haryana elections result stand what it is right now, then also it is again a reminder that let us not follow and analyze exit polls at all. But it is a neck to neck contest, and uh, it is one of its kind of an election because we have not
Mm,
seen in assembly elections so far. You like I cannot remember we have seen that this kind of a game, sudden game, uh, after the at least some of the phases of countings have happened, and now the
yeah.
BJP is 47 according to India Today, and Congress is 39 in Haryana. So the picture is changing very fast.
The picture is see there. That picture is changing now. The BJP at 45, the Congress at
Yes.
42. For our audience that's been watching from morning, it suddenly got interesting because we saw in the morning the leads for the Congress well past 50, 60 at one point. So it did seem like the Congress was doing a clean sweep. This a couple of things we learned from this. One, exit polls are just humbug. They don't know what they're doing. Two, early morning trends between say 8 o'clock and 9:30 mean nothing because the real counting happens only after 10 o'clock when all the boxes have been opened, and that is where we are right now, where the BJP now at 47 and the Congress at 40. So it's getting really interesting. Just to explain to our audience how this happens, okay, give me a minute, guys. So when imagine a constituency where there are lakhs of people who vote, and so there are various boxes. I mean, earlier they would actually be boxes with paper, but now there are EVM boxes that are locked and sealed as soon as the voting is done. They put in something called a strong room in one place, and that room is locked and sealed. And then there are cops, sat outside that room constantly, and there are members of political parties who are also allowed to sit and guard that room. And then on the morning of the counting, the room is opened at about 8 o'clock. The seals are opened, and one by one, the boxes are removed. They are unsealed, and the result of each EVM box is taken. Now, imagine if they start counting from one area where the kind of population tends to vote for one party. And so the leads that you see will actually all lean towards one party. And as the day progresses and more boxes are open, you will see the leads changing towards the other party. Having said that, though, we've never seen it change this much. We're now close to 10 a.m. And while it seemed like the Congress was running away with Haryana with a clean and comfortable sweep, it now appears like the BJP is actually comfortably in the lead and crossing the halfway mark of 46, the BJP leading in 47 and the Congress leading in 40. Now, these are numbers according to India Today that tends to be the fastest in the market. I'm also going to look at the numbers according to the Times of India. The Times of India is showing the Congress still leading in 46. Let me just refresh that page a little bit. It takes a minute. What are you looking at?
So I am also looking at India Today because, as you mentioned, that they are the fastest at this stage. So India Today is showing that BJP 48, India Today TV, BJP 48, Congress 37, and INLD 3, JJP 0, others 2. So one significant thing from this result, which has not changed, is the vote of the JJP. Uh, JJP
Which is zero.
in which is zero.
Which
So
is
in
zero.
2019 assembly election, JJP got 10 seats, and that is why Dushyant Chautala joined hands with the BJP and formed the government, and he became the deputy chief minister. So another outcome which is very clear, which is not changing, is that if we, like, for regional political parties, if they are joining hands with the BJP, then they are harming themselves. It is the same picture you will see in Kashmir. The TDP is at two. TDP has not improved. Another example is JJP. So that part is there, and also this election at this stage, it is very clear. One thing is clear, that as we were expecting, that the demography of Haryana, that the
Mm.
Jat voters, the farmers, they might they might have a discontent against the BJP, and they will not vote for the BJP. That has not happened in a drastic way, or else BJP is not, or else this trend wouldn't have possible. Like 49, the BJP, if this trend stands, I don't know what will happen again after an hour. But if this trend is true, then the BJP has received support across the sections, and
Mm.
also maybe some certain sections of the farmers, of the Jat community, maybe certain sections of Dalits, they have also voted for the BJP, and also the non-Jat that BJP was targeting, that has also voted for the party, uh, and uh, and the Congress. I do not know that the Congress result at this stage, it is 36. It is really like, comparing it with 2024 Lok Sabha election also, that it is not a very good sign. It's a kind of, it will disappoint Congress.
Mm.
And
So it appears that the
yes,
BJP headquarters, Congress headquarters in Delhi are very quiet because nobody really knows whether to celebrate or not to celebrate. Let me just call out the numbers again based on what we're looking at. According to India Today, the Congress is leading in 37, the BJP is leading in 48. So, India Today, it appears the BJP is well past that halfway mark. I'm looking at the Indian Express on their website. The Indian Express says the BJP leading in 45 and the Congress leading in 40. The Times of India, though, is still showing Congress leading in 46 and the BJP leading in 35. So that has not changed. And one more lead I must give you, which is a good, interesting lead to look at, is the Election Commission. The Election Commission, which is the slowest of all, but the most reliable, the Election Commission only has 73 leads out of a 90 seats, and it shows BJP leading in 38, the Congress leading in 31, and others have 4. Even NDTV right now is showing BJP leading in 45, Congress leading in 40. It looks like BJP might have this election, or is it still too early to say?
uh, like an hour ago, I would have said that, okay, that BJP is having this election, but at this stage, it's very difficult, because if these numbers also change the way it's changed, then, and but the whatever it is, if it is not a very significant change, just the way we witnessed within 1 hour, which happened, that then all the all the assumptions, all the predictions are going wrong, because and and
Mm,
BJP and BJP around the halfway mark, if not they cross the halfway mark also, around the halfway mark will mean that BJP will form the government, because they will break, they will take away people, they will, maybe there is others like independent, two independents are there, there is INLD, so they will take or break or do something, and they will form the government. But so So that is why, in terms of forming a government, also at this stage, the BJP has an edge because the number is 44. According to India Today, at this point, Congress is 41 and BJP is 44. The gap has again decreased.
Narrowed.
Mr. Pradhan, I could not have had you join us at a more interesting time.
Well, I couldn't. I was already on another show, so I couldn't have joined earlier. Just finished
No,
there
no,
and
in the
switched to you.
sense that, Javed Ansari was with us and we were having this whole conversation about how the Congress
Okay.
seemed to have routed the BJP from Haryana and then boom, all of a sudden at 9:50, the tables
Yeah.
turned. And,
I.
so have you ever seen this happen in a state election to this,
No,
this?
it happens. It happens way sometimes because in the beginning the counting is that of the postal ballot. So sometimes postal ballots go in one direction. Which in Haryana's case, I would have perceived that they would have gone in favor of BJP, but apparently they did not. So this is just the beginning of the trends coming out of the EVMs. So let's see how the EVMs roll out. So at the moment, yes, and sometimes it also happens that the counting is faster in a place where a particular party is more popular and has gained a lot of vote. So that could be the trend, but this is just a turn of the tide, which of course
Mm.
it looks a little strange at this
It
stage.
does look a little strange. Okay, so let me take you through the numbers one more time for our audience. Sharad Pradhan, very senior journalist, joining us out of Lucknow, someone who's tracked scores of elections, and a voice I enjoy because of his credibility and also his sense of humor. Always fun to have him on the show. Let me take you through what we are looking at right now. I'm reading off the Indian Express to begin with. Indian Express, Haryana, 46 is the halfway mark. BJP is leading in 43. The Congress is leading in 42. It's fairly close there. What you're looking at on your screen are India Today's numbers. BJP is at 44, Congress at 41. Apparently, this is similar to what NDTV is showing us at this point. The Election Commission, which tends to be slower, is showing the BJP leading in 38 seats at this point. Uh,
Okay.
Mr. Pradhan, what do
Yeah.
you think is happening in Haryana? Because this is not what the exit polls showed us or predicted. None of the exit polls gave the BJP anywhere near 30 seats. They were at 25 on the outer margin.
There's still a lot of time. The day has just begun. And as far as the exit polls are concerned, after what they have learned, the lesson that they have learned out of the Lok Sabha elections, what they did, I mean, made it very apparent that the exit polls were manipulated. Otherwise, there couldn't have been any reason that every exit poll was showing BJP way ahead of where they actually landed at the Lok Sabha election. So, I mean, less said about the exit polls, but this time I think they were cautious. But somehow I tend to believe that the way they are carried out in India, there is enough scope for manipulation, and the way media houses have been working, the mainstream media houses, it is quite likely that this time, because they had seen how they got exposed in the Lok Sabha election, they were a little more cautious, and that is why they probably showed they went ahead showing BJP in poor light. They must have had to pay a cost for that because
But then,
they got
that
a
Sayantan Ghosh told us in the beginning when he started speaking, he said this means that exit polls are rubbish and we should stop doing them altogether.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because the tragedy in this country is there is so much dishonesty in
Mm.
everything. When you have when you can have Tirupati laddus being adulterated, then what more? What more can you? And you expect honesty in exit polls? I mean, it's I fully agree with him that they're all bunk. So let's not go. They go by what is going on ground, and this is how it seems now. See, once again, it is showing Congress ahead. So this is just the beginning. I think trends will change because the ground reports have been made it very evident that BJP is on way out. They say that the बीजेपी के बुरे दिन और जनता के हरियाणा की जनता के अच्छे दिन आ रहे हैं. This is how they describe it in this election. And because BJP has been only making a loud promises of bringing अच्छे दिन, which we all have waited for 10 years. Anyway, so it's very evident that from the ground report, it was clearly evident that BJP is in for a total debacle because the way, and even they showed it in their action, the top leadership, unless they manipulate the elections, so they wouldn't be able to achieve what they are hoping, because the way Modi and Shah removed Khattar and brought in a chap
Yes.
barely 6 months back who was a non-entity, but he also happened to be a clone of Khattar. He was a stooge of Khattar and who was anointed as the, and then they expected him to turn the tide. That I don't think that will work, and it hasn't worked because Khattar's mainstay was unpopularity, unpopularity, and you bring in a chap who's a stooge. What do you expect from him? And then whatever has happened, and the Haryana people are very, they're very, very strong-headed people. The way, another thing where they have, I think, which has sent a message across Haryana is the treatment that they meted out to the wrestlers. Haryana people, they are as strong about the honor of their women. Sometimes, of course, they do I will call them dishonor killings for a variety of reasons that they do. But there they feel very strongly, and the manner in which Vinesh Fogart and others were treated, ill-treated, I would say,
Yeah.
maltreated, ill-treated by the BJP. The manner in which BJP defended their rogue MP, who is a mafia don of Uttar Pradesh, Brij Bhushan Saran Singh, who was going about openly molesting these poor girls who brought honor to this country. I think that has also gone very strongly with the Haryana people, particularly with the Jat community. And that is the reason you see Vinesh Fogart sweeping this election. I am told that the even BJP was didn't know who to say brought in a non-entity to field against him, to contest
Mm.
against him, her against Vinesh Fogart, because they knew that they laid down arms even before the election started, and that has also sent a message across, not only limited to just her constituency, across Haryana, that this is how they treat, and their double speak
Yeah.
also got exposed in the bargain. And they need to learn. See, once again, you see the Congress going behind the BJP, but I think this is just a beginning. I think you will have a better picture around in the afternoon. I mean, somehow have that feeling because people on ground can't go wrong unless our great election commission has, has done something,
Well, let me just take,
played
I mean,
some
take
magic.
you through the numbers right now that we're looking at. BJP is now in a comfortable lead. While 46 is the halfway mark, it's not so comfortable, but it's more comfortable than the Congress is right now at 38. The same numbers on the Indian Express as well. And I'm reading from a few places because these numbers are changing so drastically and we don't know who's
Yeah,
ahead. And I'm just going to ask, my producer Ira to share the election commission screen, if you can, as well, which shows the BJP leading in 43 and the Congress leading only in 34. So, and then, from where we're looking at it, it does look that the BJP is consolidating its position in Haryana.
Yes, at this stage, of course, as Sir also mentioned that it looks like, but as he also mentioned that, but the resentment uh, was very much there within the people of Haryana against the BJP. So that is why we need to wait and see what happens, and the numbers can again flip and to maybe towards the Congress, because as Sir mentioned, some of the things like earlier we used to talk that the Congress is a kind of a political party. The Gandhi family never allows strong state leadership kind of a thing. But now it has happened to the BJP is becoming more of like a Congress.
Mm,
The
mm,
Right, right.
centralized structure of the BJP right now. It's focused on Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah, and they are not liking anybody who can dominate, who can be a bigger face than them. You have seen what happened to Karnataka because they removed Mr. Yedurappa just before the elections and brought another person like Bommai. Maybe he was a loyalist, but he could not make the party win. And the same thing is happening in like we think that the same thing can happen in Haryana as well, because they are doing the same what the Congress used to do. Like I come from West Bengal, like what
mm,
when Pranab Mukherjee was becoming, uh, they think that okay, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee could have become a problematic for them. They took him to the central leadership. Ranjan Das Munshi was becoming very popular in West Bengal. They took him to the central leadership. Uh, so, so it is the same thing happening in with the BJP right now. So there is a resentment, and there are some of the things. Another thing I would like to point out that the Prime Minister Modi, the Modi factor, like in Haryana, there has been several report I have read in several places that they are not using Prime Minister Narendra Modi's cutouts, etc., in that way. It used to happen earlier. There was much more focus on the local candidates, etc., because they're trying to safeguard Mr. Modi. That if we lose the election, it should not look like कि Mr. Modi के लिए
Abs-
we have suffered. So,
Very true.
like, this was not the BJP we have seen some months ago, right? Like we are talking on October today. Last October, you think we have not
mm.
seen this kind of a BJP, which is trying to protect Mr. Modi from any kind of their his picture. Uh, Rather, they were more enthusiastic to put out his picture everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Very true.
So, Mr. Pradhan, do you agree that there was a tendency here to protect the Prime Minister from what the BJP also thought would be a loss?
Well, you know why? The reason is there are other states going to poll, and Modi has to be, his image has to be protected so as not to give the impression that the losses in these states could be on account of Modi. They knew that the party is not likely to do well in Haryana. This was their decision to keep Modi, and it must have been Modi's decision to keep himself out because he doesn't want to be shown it already because of the Lok Sabha election where he was the star and where he was everywhere. In fact, they had removed the pictures of regional leaders in different states from the posters and banners. So there, they having seen that Modi's image has got a beating, they didn't want to expose him as much this time, knowing that in these states, Modi is not a face that is going to take them ahead. So that is why. But the problem was that they didn't have a good option at the regional level. Naib Singh Saini was no substitute for a Modi or for that matter even a Khattar. I am told by local people that despite being unpopular, Khattar could have probably done slightly better than what Naib Singh Saini is able to do in that position. So, sometimes there are a lot of miscalculations, and BJP happens to be a more confused lot, largely because it is run by two people. To be precise, by one man. It's a one-man show, and the Raja or the Maharaja decides everything without any consultations. Others are expected to simply toe the line. The despotic nature of their governance, the despotic nature of the running of the party is reflected in these elections. But at the same time, they don't want Modi to be shown as the villain of the piece. Like you
Mm,
see how in UP they tried to fix the responsibility on Yogi Adityanath, who was not even given a chance to select candidates in the Lok Sabha election. So and as the story goes, he is likely to suffer. The Yogi Adityanath is ultimately going to be shifted for the same reason that my friend mentioned about how popular leaders are shifted out of the states and shunted
But they
to the
haven't been
center.
able to get rid of Yogi Adityanath up till now. They've
They no,
tried. They
but no, no.
failed.
That is for from what insiders say. Probably that is also going to come very soon. They were waiting for these by-elections in which Yogi has pumped in all his energies, and that is also the reason why Yogi was spinning around these states where elections are going
Hmm,
to
hmm.
prove prove his leadership wrong. And but the only problem is the only device he has is the divisive politics. That is the only device that Yogi can use, and he thinks and he probably believes with full commitment that that is the
Hmm.
only way that politics can run in this country, because he doesn't talk of anything else other than Hindu Musliman. And despite that having not worked in the Lok Sabha election, he's still trying that. You've seen how in that election they even lost their confidence in the Ayodhya Mandir. They were hoping to reap a harvest out of the Mandir in Ayodhya, and for which they defied the Shankaracharyas, who didn't want the incomplete Mandir to be formally inaugurated in that consecrated in that manner. Yet they went ahead because they were very, very hopeful, but it didn't work at all.
Hmm.
So now there is more. Now Yogi is still on, because Yogi cannot. I don't think he can think beyond divisive politics, communal politics, and that's the reason. That's the reason he
But
tried that
with
in
all
Haryana
of
also,
those
where there is very little
things,
Muslim population. Mind you, where there is very little
with
Muslim
all of those
population.
things, though, Mr.
Yeah,
Pradhan, the
uh,
BJP is leading in Haryana now, looking very
yeah, no,
comfortable
yeah.
at
You're
46.
right. Now it's in a comfortable position, 46, and they're steady at 46, whereas Congress is going up and down. So
And there are
let's
six
see. But
others. If it wants to consolidate that position,
yeah.
there are extra seats there that they can, let's say, coax into their stable.
Mhm. No, that will be a big, if that happens, it's going to be give a big jolt to the Congress, and it would also mean a lot. I mean, that means that those who have been reading the ground, those who have been
Have
on
read it
ground,
wrong.
have not read it wrong. So that is the reason. Again, I strongly believe that this is only a trend, and which will soon change in a couple of hours. It
Really? You
should,
believe
because
it will switch back?
I still feel, because still, the gap is not so wide as it
Hmm.
was in the beginning between Congress and BJP. And as it goes, let's see, in another hour, I think the picture would be clearer. So that's what I said, that after 12 o'clock, after in the afternoon, the picture will be clearer, and let us see if this is going to be a surprise, not only for us, but
Hmm.
even for the BJP and Congress, because they also both had BJP had laid down arms, and Congress was hoping, they were in fact going about selecting their chief
Yeah.
ministers. They, they uh,
Yeah,
let's
we
see
were
how
having
it works.
conversations about what will the high command decide. It looks like nothing apparently because may not win Haryana at all. So the election
Because
commission
then
has
the high command will only have to
decided whose
express
fault it
remorse.
was
And
and
let's see,
introspect.
Yeah,
No, but okay.
introspect. Yes.
So let me tell you, this is what the election commission leads are showing now. Election commission leads have just crossed halfway mark for the BJP at 48 and giving the Congress
Okay.
34. We'll
Oh,
share that
Ocha, that's
screen.
the okay.
Yeah.
Please do,
One
because
second, I'm
that
just
is
going to
a
put this screen up. This is the election commission leads on Haryana as of
oh
19 minutes past 10 o'clock or 10:20. I'm going to pop that up.
oh
Um, it's very interesting because the election
okay.
commission tends to be slower and swings less than the other channels which tend to jump up and down a little more. This is also
Yeah.
the same number that India Today is showing. This is the same number that at this point Indian Express is also showing 48 to 35.
That's quite a gap. Quite a gap. Okay,
And
that is. I mean, I wonder how if this is going to be it'll be a really huge surprise for everyone, for
huge
all and
surprise,
sundry.
which means that the exit polls were completely off the mark again. It means that the journalists on the ground were off the mark. It means that the Congress party itself was off the mark. So all of the things that we've been talking about, wrestler protest, Agniveer scheme, farmer protest, Menghai,
Yeah.
all of these things actually didn't make a dent in Haryana. It means that the BJP is still very strong in its grip over Haryana, Mr. Pradhan. Is it still
Perhaps.
the Jat vote? Is it still the caste vote that is working in its favor, the OBC vote? What is happening in Haryana? I mean, how does it look like?
So it's largely the it's must be the largely the Jat vote, and which is dominant in Haryana, and this is how it seems to be going. Where because if all these factors have not worked, in the sense that people have ignored Agniveer, people have ignored farmers' protest, people have ignored the kind of treatment meted out to the women wrestlers, then it is really shocking. Then I wonder how then well, if I were a politician, I would have said ki it's all in the EVMs, some manipulation in the EVMs. But I wouldn't say that because I I've observed EVMs very closely, and it seems that it is manipulation with the EVMs is not an easy task. But BJP is used to doing difficult tasks. As far as their if their purpose is being served, they can go to any length. Because but let's see, it's still I still feel it is a little early. 10, 10, 20, 10, 25 is too early to I mean, this can happen only when the party is sweeping.
Hmm.
But there's no
But
reason how if
sweeping
there is so
overrides
much.
at 49 now, sir.
Uh, 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 uh,
In the meantime, so let's do one thing. Let's take a deep
yeah.
breath because this is looking very interesting, and I love, like I was saying earlier, I
Mm,
love it when
it is.
elections are interesting. So it gives us so much more to do when analysis than if it is a clean sweep. Let's take a look at Jammu and Kashmir for a minute, and then we'll come back,
Right.
and hopefully these numbers
Sure.
will have settled by then because we've not had a chance to discuss that at all. So looking at now Jammu and Kashmir, we'll just pop up. Those are the leads. The NC and the Congress leading in 45, the BJP in 29. This is as per expectations. Omar
Yeah.
Abdullah likely to be chief minister after the massive jolt and broken heart he had, post the general elections where he actually lost, and I think that was a big surprise for him. He is quite clearly slated to be chief minister of Jammu and
Well,
Kashmir Union Territory? Yes. And what is that
yeah.
likely to look like? Because post all of the changes we've seen, now we actually have an elected government. Very big deal to have this first election after the abrogation of 370, the change in the status of the state. With Omar Abdullah at the helm, Mr. Pradhan, what are you expecting?
Well, there is as far as before I go ahead, when you talked about loss of heart, there have been several reasons for Umar Abdullah's loss of heart. Other reasons also, other than political. Oh, anyway, but that apart, it seems very evident that NC is in for a win along with the Congress, and Umar Abdullah gets back to the power pedestal. But because now that the margins are pretty good, the gap is pretty good, so there couldn't be any reason why there would be a change here because otherwise the manner in which the BJP had manipulated and changed the law to have allow five nominated members and now five nominated MLAs to be nominated by the lieutenant governor. That was
Yes.
kept and solely to manipulate the election because they always expected that it would be a close contest in J&K, and then it would be easy to just use those five people. They obviously, if they are nominated by the lieutenant governor, they are BJP men. This is the first time it has been done in any part of the country, and it speaks very, very shabbily of the democracy we boast of. Because how can you have a nominated person being called a part of a democratic system, ruling system? Anyway, So now it is pretty evident, and BJP sees no reason. Don't see any reason how BJP can take its numbers ahead from this trend. Maybe they may, and PDP is just down at 3 at the moment, and even right from the beginning, PDP has not shown any a very encouraging trend, and because PDP was a party which could have been manipulated by the BJP. So now the picture is pretty clear, and what the BJP, your BJP can easily again cook up some excuse, and here again it will be largely Amit Shah and the Lieutenant Governor taking the blame. Who will have to take the blame for this? Not Mr. Modi. Mr. Modi is non-biological, so he can't be blamed for anything. So, but that's, that is how it is, and so this maybe I don't do you have a split of the seats between the Congress and NC? I mean the trends in the trends, pay or face connection has got. Anyway, I think meanwhile we can continue. We can continue is because we in Jammu and Kashmir, it is largely the anger of the local people against the dictatorial regime, because they had no say, and people were looking up to this, and the BJP never made, the BJP government means the Lieutenant Governor's government never made any allowed any room for the local people to have an iota of voice in the system in that runs Jammu and Kashmir. So this will be a good slap on the BJP, and it will send a message across the world, like how Modi and Shah had been trying to project Jammu and Kashmir as a state. Again, like the Article 370 has done wonders. It has finished terrorism. I don't know where in their records, probably it has finished terrorism, foreign money, on all that crap that they were coming out with. I think all that will go for a six now.
Yes, that's also true. But we just take a look right now at this. The NC is at 35. The Congress is at 11. So there's an
11.
alliance
Okay.
there. Is that relationship good and solid as it always was? To be able to run that state.
I, are you asking me or?
Yes, yes, Mr. Pradhan.
Well, I think there is every reason for them to stick together. They considering that NC, of course, you know, knowing Modi and knowing his Operation Lotus and whatever, they can't buy off people from here. But yes,
Mm.
if they manage to, which I don't see happening, a deal with Farooq Abdullah and the son, which would seem very, very unlikely at this juncture, because that will throw NC into complete disrepute. So I
Mm.
don't think they would do that. And why should they do it? They are getting
Yeah.
riding onto par. Yeah. So
So
I
yeah,
don't see any
right. The other question
possibility.
is the PDP, and I'll take this question to Sayanthan. There was some conversation about the door being left open for the PDP, but again, there's a lot of sore feelings about the PDP in Kashmir. There's no need for it because they only have 3 seats from the looks of it. Is there likely to be any conversation there?
But I don't think so because, as earlier also I told you that this is a prime example of any regional political party joining hand with the BJP and how they suffer. In Haryana, the example of JJP is there, and also the example of PDP. Though they change their stands, etc., with time, etc., but they suffered because people do not trust these somersault of these political parties anymore, and PDP's pictures are very clear. So it will really not matter much as far as the PDP is concerned. But one thing which is beyond PDP, which I am very concerned about, that I believe that the way the lieutenant governor and the central government deals with the leadership of Delhi in terms of the Aam Aadmi Party government, etc. The similar thing will happen in Jammu and Kashmir also, that they will put barriers in every work, everything, but that will bring uh, India a lot of will bring the entire state under scrutiny, because Jammu and Kashmir always stays under the scanner of international coverage, etc., etc. So always, so they are the people of Jammu and Kashmir. They are getting a voice with this election, but it is indeed the prerogative of the central government that how much voice they will allow to
Allow.
come out,
Yeah.
because what we have seen in Delhi, that they do not, the structure of this, at least under Prime Minister Modi and Mr. Amit Shah, how they have now structured the legislative laws, etc., for the union territories. In Delhi, the Legislative Assembly uh, technically has no power. Like anything they are doing, they are saying that
Has
the
to go through the
LG has the
LG.
power to overrule.
Yeah.
Yes, like any decision of the assembly also can be overruled by LG. Now
But
that is
with
a
Omar
very,
Abdullah, I feel that there will be a more doughty champion. It's better than no
yes.
champion at all, right? He's media savvy. He has access to global media, has access to national media. At least
It
there
will
will
be
be
very,
a larger voice than there has been over the last couple of years, or the last
Yeah.
5 years since the abrogation of 370.
Correct.
absolutely, absolutely. In Jammu and Kashmir, sir was saying something. Sorry. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Pradhan, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I fully agree with that. And there's also another thing, in specific to Delhi, I think there is some difference in the running of the union territories between Delhi and states like Jammu and Kashmir, or now, despite there being a union territory now, Delhi, the powers of the chief ministers were curtailed by a special under a special law which was enacted, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken. So that is the reason there is more dependence and more powers west in the Delhi Lieutenant Governor than they are in the J&K. Am I right? I
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
because
Absolutely. Hmm.
that is why they may not be able to play with the Delhi with J&K as much as, and secondly also because what have said that the Jammu and Kashmir always remains in the in the scanner of the national and international media, and international media is not what BJP is able to have their control over, their clutches over, and this which they do in Delhi openly. The manner, if if international media had succumbed to the pressures they tried to exercise on them in the manner, the way they have done it with the national media, then Kashmir's stories would not come out. There are a number of very good journalists based out of Kashmir and who
Hmm.
have the courage to speak the truth, write the truth. So there is it may not be easy. And then above all, what Faye pointed out, that this Omar Abdullah, the way he has to now prove that he is not I mean, he was also discredited for various reasons. So today, once he gets this opportunity, I'm sure he will move heaven and earth to see that his voice is heard and he is not ignored in the manner that Kejriwal is ignored in Delhi.
Yeah, that's a really, and like I said, I do believe that Omar Abdullah as chief minister will be a stronger champion for the voice of the people of Kashmir, even if there is a push and pull, even if there's going to be juggling with the LG in this new form of government, there will be some resistance on the other side, and that will make for an interesting position, because we are hearing, though, Mr. Pradhan, that from
Yeah.
the valley, things have changed. People, especially women, are finding it easier to move around, easier to participate. Economy has changed
You
and
know,
improved as well. Things are different in the valley, and I think that having a government, an assembly, and a chief minister might improve that in that direction as well. if we are all ready to go back to Haryana, let's go back to Haryana and see where
So
Haryana is
one
settling.
comment,
Yes,
Faye,
yes,
just
please,
one
please.
comment here. The picture is not as rosy as painted by the government, by the
Hmm.
Modi government in Kashmir. Well, it has improved, but not to the extent that has been projected on the media by these people. Very systematically, all completely uh, stage managed. So it is. It may improve. Yes, now that the elections are taking place and they have a government in place, restoration of democracy, that may change things now and make things better as far as people are concerned. I've been in touch and done a couple of programs with people there, and to people, not only local journalists but local people, they were not happy, and they would contradict the government's claims about normalcy returning to Kashmir, which is not the case. You have seen
Hmm.
how terrorism has spread even right down to Jammu and uncontrolled, but despite the government's claims that they have done, they have contained terrorism. So many incidents. If you go into the statistics, you will realize that things are pretty bad. And it is only a projection, a false projection of the picture of the economy, which is again not in good shape. But yes, there is now hope with a government in place, and Farooq Abdullah will have to ensure that to ensure that he is able to satisfy the needs of the people, and he's able to show to them, prove to them
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
there is a difference between a government run by Delhi and a government run by the people of the state. So that how he's able to do it
That
despite
way,
the
yeah.
constraints that he will face because of Modi and Shah.
It's going to be very fascinating to continue to watch Jammu and Kashmir very closely. But let's take a look at Haryana. We're going to change the numbers that you see on your screen. The BJP now, 40 minutes past 10 o'clock, Mr. Pradhan, the BJP leading in
Yeah,
47, the Congress leading in 36, the BJP comfortably crossing that halfway mark. Interestingly, the JJP, who at one point were kingmakers in Haryana, settling at zero, the Aam Aadmi Party at zero. It really was between the BJP and the Congress. The BJP very interestingly, surprisingly stealing Haryana. In the
yeah,
Indian
yeah.
Express, the number for the BJP is a little better. It shows at 48. And in
No.
the Election Commission website, which is the slowest and the most reliable, the BJP leading in 47, while the Congress leads in 35. The Congress at this
Uh,
point is probably in shock at this because about an hour
must
ago
be.
they were discussing who's going to be chief minister. They don't seem to have won this against every single exit poll that came out that gave the Congress a clear victory. It does appear the BJP. Is it safe to say won Haryana?
Well, I wouldn't. I would still give it a shot that things will change. It will change. The picture will
Really?
change
Okay.
because how can everybody go wrong? Everybody.
It's not the first time, though. That's a good question, but it's not the first time everyone's gone wrong.
exit
So,
exit polls go wrong, but the ground reality should not go wrong. So that's my
no, but if
expectation. But
let,
yes,
let,
it's a matter of serious concern for the Congress, which was thinking
mm,
about. They were thinking about how to settle their internal war between Shelja and Bhuda. now, 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 all of them have to must be in utter shock because
mm,
this is not what they had imagined. Because as the trends began in the beginning, one thought that it was a clean sweep for the Congress, and now it is
yes.
seems to be struggling. So and now it's quite. It's almost 11 o'clock. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
10,
let's talk about the
10:40.
process, Mr. Pradhan. Almost 11,
Yeah.
10:40. It'll be 11 o'clock in 20 minutes. How many rounds do you think would have been counted by now under normal circumstances? How far along would we be?
Well, it's when it's difficult to say because how long, when did the actual counting of the EVM start? We are not aware. We can only go
8,
by surmise.
8:30. Yeah, around 8:30 they
No, no, no,
started
no,
this.
no. No. I'm
Boxes.
saying that before that, then there are these
Ah.
postal ballots. So one doesn't really know. So how many? It could have been. I think. Did you check what was the what was the round earlier at 10 o'clock? Any idea? How
I'm
many rounds?
checking the Election Commission website. I can't
Yeah.
tell.
Uh-huh.
But normally at this point, things are fairly clear, right? I mean, 10:40, 10:45. If they
Yeah,
started, let's
you just
assume.
get a quite a fair picture of the the trends that would move.
Mm,
So and there it doesn't seem Congress doesn't seem to be rising from the closing up the gap at all. Ever since it has gone down, it doesn't seem to
yes.
be closing the gap, which should be a matter of concern for them. And BJP must be on cloud nine because this is something which they had not imagined. So
So there
let's
is
still
a
see.
ANI soundbite from a Congress candidate from Aditya Surjewala, who has said only two
Uh,
rounds of counting have taken place so far. In the third
two
round of
rounds,
counting, but I don't
only
know
two.
exactly what time this was recorded. So,
That's right.
Two will be very less, I think. Two will be very less.
I
Maybe
know,
it's
must be at
uh,
least four rounds must have gone. 11
mm,
o'clock means at least four
uh,
rounds must have gone.
4 rounds. At
So
least 4 rounds
yeah,
of counting has happened. So, but another thing also around the our lesson for the exit polls, there is another lesson also, not
mm,
lesson, another observation that the election commission website has really improved. Like
yes, it
they
has.
are it has become very fast. So that is
Mm,
also one thing. But in Haryana, if you see, if I'm not wrong, the Jat population is around 25 to 27%, the Jat population, and
yeah,
the
it's about
scheduled
25%.
caste.
20. Uh,
Yes, and the scheduled caste, which is the Dalit population, is around 21. So which means that the if this result stands true, that means that the not only non-jats matlab in Haryana it's Punjabis and other communities. It is the Jat community which has voted for the BJP,
mm,
and which also includes the farmer community. They have voted for the BJP. If this result stands true, uh, so without the Jat support and without the Dalit support, you cannot
yes,
you cannot come to this kind of a
of
result.
number. Yeah.
But it is also important that because we are talking about numbers, neck to neck, nail biting elections, it is also very important for, I think, the opposition political parties in India, including the Congress, the Aam Aadmi Party, all the places. Uh, an alliance kind of a situation is very much needed. Like if we are saying that Aam Aadmi Party is at zero, right? But Aam Aadmi Party has fielded candidates. If some percentage of vote also they have got, they have harmed the Congress. Same with the JJP, and I think Chandrasekhar Azad's party. There was an alliance. So wherever they have come, they have taken some percentage of Dalit and Jat votes. So in this way, the opposition vote maybe not in large percentage, but there was harm to the Congress vote share by this for the fact that there was no alliance, right? So it is, and you see Kashmir, because Congress was not very strong. Congress is not very strong in Kashmir, in the valley, but because NC and Congress came together, agar ye nahi hota, then Congress would have harmed the NC only, not the BJP,
yeah, very true.
Mm,
Very true.
right? So this is a very important learning message for the India Alliance, that you cannot be like we will fight only on central elections, we will fight together. When it comes to states, we will not join hands. So these are not things which will work against the BJP. By this way, the opposition is harming itself. In and Haryana is a prime example at this stage.
Hmm. I would like to add something here. You know
please,
what we are
please.
ignoring here is Mayawati. My doesn't show that they have not shown any BSP figures, But
Hmm.
Mayawati carried out a number of rallies in Haryana, and her whole focus was on how to dig into the Congress vote, because she's, as it knows, it's an open secret now that she works for the BJP, and her speeches at various rallies clearly expressed this. They conveyed this, that she was in to only ensure that the Dalits do not vote for the Congress. Her focus was
Okay.
there. So it is just possible that some of that vote, and she was also worried about Chandrasekhar Azad, because she feels that Dalit vote is her birthright and
Hmm.
it's her exclusive property. So she wants to monopolize on that. But whatever, she has lost a lot of credibility even with Dalits. But in Haryana, where she had enjoyed some kind of credibility earlier, so it is just possible that BJP's game of pushing her ahead into the campaign has helped the BJP to get some bit, even if not, it has not gone to the BJP, at least it has not gone to the Congress. So that way, and even if it is a
So
small number, it
do
makes a
you
lot of,
think
in a small state. Sorry,
Mr.
yeah.
Pradhan, between what you said of the BSP and apparently BSP leading in 1 out of 37 seats right now, according to India Today, the Aam
uh,
Aadmi Party, the JJP, they were all cutting Congress votes?
I think Congress, though Aam Aadmi Party later on, initially it was, I mean, it was heading in that direction, and there were a lot of accusations that Aam Aadmi Party had taken a plunge only to harm the Congress. But subsequently, when Aam Aadmi Party realized that it doesn't have that kind of a hold that Kejriwal was hoping, considering that he belongs to Haryana, that they started, what they did was they started concentrating rallies that were addressed by Kejriwal and Manish Sisodia were largely in pockets where BJP was strong,
Mm.
not in areas. So they were not intending to, they wanted to show that they were not intending to harm the Congress. But for all you know, it has dug into the Congress vote, because it is not the BJP voter who is voting for Aam Aadmi Party.
I want to
So
come
it
back
is these
to.
smaller parties which have certainly caused harm to the Congress, which is why you see the Congress going further down now. The BJP going ahead and Congress rolling down to 35.
I want to bring back something that Santhad said about the Jat vote going to the BJP because it's impossible to get these numbers without the Jat vote in Haryana. But
That's right, absolutely. Because the Jat votes, they are the dominant caste, and Jat is not just the Jat vote. Please go ahead. It is also the Jat influence on others. They influence the other vote, a number of other castes.
so,
Please go ahead.
does this mean also the farmers are voting for the BJP? This is a very big thing that
Very
no
huge
one
contradiction.
calculated. Yeah.
It's
Could
it's
that
a
be
huge
possible?
contradiction. It's possible, when they play up this the Hindutva card, the Jats can have this tendency to tilt in that direction. So
Hmm.
it could be that in that case, it is the divisive politics of Yogi Adityanath which seem to him to have worked. The Hindu Muslim divide, despite the fact that the Muslim, but I'm told that there are certain pockets in Haryana where Muslims are in a good number. But it is not just that number. It is the message goes across, and the Jats generally vote en bloc in a the larger chunk of the Jats. So it is just possible that the Hindutva factor has played here,
Hmm.
contrary to what one had thought, and because it had not worked earlier, maybe this time it worked, and Jats could be unpredictable also. Despite, but the fact that Jats have been hammered by the BJP, as far as when you see the farmers protest, they are largely Jats.
Hmm.
So the Jats have always, a part of the Jats have always been with the BJP, all right. But how much have they been able to influence the other section, other chunk, which was not with them?
Yeah,
Here it
this will be
seems
the important question.
that because, and Jats then in smaller numbers than BSP digging into the Congress vote, BSP voters going for the for the BJP. Possible. Otherwise, this couldn't have happened.
Otherwise, this couldn't have happened. That is true. So basically, all calculations on the ground in Haryana is turning out to be completely off the mark. Here's a question: the removal of Manohar Lal Khattar and the replacement, um, you know, by the current chief minister, by the incumbent chief minister, do you think that that is actually could have been a positive thing?
I don't think so much because as it is said by locals in Haryana that Khattar, this fellow was Khattar's stooge. So it should not have made any difference. It's only that Khattar was more inaccessible to the people. He was not even accessible to his own partymen, which is why he became unpopular and the party leadership decided to shift him. But at the
Hmm.
same time, they didn't want to annoy Khattar, and that's the reason they allowed Khattar to have his man in place. So I don't think that is so much of a factor which could have because that could have made difference within the party, but not as far as voters are concerned because he continued to run the government in the same manner, except that he was relatively more. But for his first 2 months were booked with the Lok Sabha election. He
Hmm.
was busy conducting the Lok Sabha elections in the state, where they managed to win 5 seats.
So
I think it's fine. Yeah.
did Saini work out as the OBC face of the BJP then?
Uh, yeah, that could be the reason, but it is in Haryana. The OBCs there are different castes, but they are so sharply divided amongst themselves. It is not as if one Sani face is going to bring them. And they are very strong rivals. So I don't think Sani's face could be seen as a pan OBC person. That
Okay,
is
so
not. And Sani is a small
here's more
community. Sani is a
information.
small community in Haryana.
Vinesh Phogat is trailing by about 4,000 votes now.
Oh my God!
Yes.
She was. Oh, because I was told that the BJP was scared of even fielding a strong candidate against him, so they brought in a non-entity, trailing by
That's what
4,000
that's
votes.
this is according to the India Today that she is trailing, and I'm just going to ask my team to find one more source for that information and to see how she's doing maybe on the election commission website. But that gap seems fairly wide. It was neck and neck for a bit. It had been
Yeah,
really, the margin had gotten really thin, but
4,000
now
is
the gap
big.
seems,
Yeah.
which
my
means
God.
again
4,000. And
that's a calculation of the
another,
Congress that went completely wrong.
Completely, everybody's calculation has gone completely wrong. If Dinesh Phogat trails and loses, I think that will be the biggest for BJP. It will be a big boost, and for getting everything immoral is getting them the edge, which is very
Trailing by
unfortunate.
3,000 votes after the fourth round.
Fourth round, as that's what we had thought that must be 4 rounds. Okay, this is complete turn of the tide in
So
Haryana.
this is basically means that everything could this be, and this is a question to both of you. I'll start with Santhan. After the general elections, and we've seen this happen in the past, did the Congress party become complacent and a little more confident in their position that they should have been?
so one thing is that of course that can happen. Maybe that has happened. But on the ground, the Congress did a good campaigning. It was very evident that Congress did a good campaigning. One factor I would also like to bring, because it is assembly election, it is not Lok Sabha election. There was a difference. There is a difference which we see now in every state, that they differ, their moods differ. People
Yeah,
vote in
Hmm.
yeah,
different ways. The JJP factor, the JJP got 10 seats in 2019 Lok Sabha, Vidhan Sabha election, around 10 seats. JJP's support base is the Jat community, if I'm not wrong. And that, so because of the somersault of Dushyant Chautala to be with BJP, then go staying away from BJP, then joining hand with this Azad, and all these things. I think that vote share also felt that, okay, what is the point of voting for a person like a political party like this? So maybe they have voted for the BJP. So
Hmm.
getting 10 seats means a good number of vote share. So that share
Mhm.
also, that voter base also, it looks like shifted towards the BJP by
Mm.
from the JJP directly, right? And it is the Jat votes if that has happened. So this is how I believe that the result is less about how the campaigns happened in Haryana. If this result stands true, it is more about the regional dynamics between the caste dynamics and how
Yes.
they saw this election. Maybe how we have not understood that uh, the predictions are wrong, but the caste dynamics played a very important role in Haryana's this assembly election for sure.
Well, here's the question, Mr. Pradhan. We are now nearly at 11. Is it time to say this now looks safe for the BJP in Haryana? Round four
Uh,
of counting?
Considering that it is round four, yes, it is on a better position than
Mm,
one would have thought. I would still not give it a final verdict in that
mm,
manner, because things do change, and in an election like this, once again, going back to what we all said in the beginning and believed in the beginning, that considering that ground reports from everywhere suggested this, considering that even the great
yeah.
exit poll people who were head over heels for the BJP, even they had not predicted. It is rather difficult to believe that this trend will continue until the end. I still believe that there could still be a change. But yes, what you said about Vinesh Fogart, that has given
Yeah.
me reason to rethink on this, because if she could be on a losing wicket, then of course, then this election has been extremely unpredictable, and there'll be reason for political parties to blame it on the EVMs also. You will see that.
You actually think, because it's that's a really shaky wicket for any political party to be on, because if the Congress had won, they would not have blamed it on the EVM. So how could they possibly make that argument now?
I know, but it happens. But it happens if they had won, because when you start doing it, then knowing that election commission is just a tool of the government, it has
Mm,
reduced itself to being a tool of the government, which we all concede, and that if they are able to, manipulations are not done in across board. Manipulations happen in select pockets
mm,
where, and it happens when the margins are low, where the gaps are low, not the margin, the gaps are low. It is easier to manipulate. So, yes, you are right that it is unfair to blame it on the election commission, because if the trend has been for towards the winning the election, then a party invariably then it doesn't talk about EVMs. That is true,
yes.
but
Yes.
then they have no other reason to know, no other. Of course, they need to introspect what happened, what went wrong, but then it could also be the logically speaking, it could be, if this continues, then this could be that the smaller parties have dug into the Congress vote, and Jats in a big way have gone for the BJP.
Hmm. And that's the big miscalculation then that everybody
Yeah.
seems to have made, including the journalists and the exit polls and everybody else who thought that the farmers slash the Jats will vote against the BJP because of farm issues, because of wrestling, because of Agniveer scheme, because of various protests that have happened. Apparently, that has not turned out. But do either of you want to take a stab at the question of what do you think they voted for then? What went in favor of the BJP?
I think it is. I would say that it is ultimately the Hindutva factor, the playing up Hindutva. There could be more than caste. It could be the Hindutva factor, which is very
Then,
unfortunate.
do you agree that was a Hindutva
Yes,
factor?
yes, because it is important to see what the BJP was presenting. Like, because after 10 years, the anti-incumbency is doing a hat trick is not an easy task, right? So
Yeah,
there, the BJP was not presenting, at least as far as Haryana is concerned, BJP was not presenting anything drastic in Haryana. For example, I was reading today morning that BJP has already announced that if they come to power in Jharkhand, they will bring NRC and all these points. They have announced. So BJP was not drastic with the announcements in terms of in Haryana for that matter. Then what BJP presented? The BJP presented is what Sir also correctly said is that the polarization, the polarization factor, the Hindu sense, the Hindutva, which has worked for the BJP because at the end of the day, the Jats also were strong supporters of the BJP earlier. And how was they connected with the BJP? It was the Hinduness and the Hindutva ideology, etc., etc. Those are the issues. What why Jats also used to be strong voter of base of the BJP. Now, if I would also like to mention that the it will be very important to see the percentage of vote in this election. At this point, we might not know that what is the percentage, but in 2019 assembly election, the BJP received around 58% vote, Congress 28, and JJP around 5% vote. So at least at this stage, it is clear that the JJP's 5% vote share has like declined. It is very clear because they have not won any seat. So where this vote percentage has gone. So
mm,
so these minute calculations, these little calculations will become the key cause in Haryana. And all these political parties, the independents, the Aam Aadmi Party, BSP, all these people, they have they have eaten the vote share of the Congress, vote of the
right.
Congress, and it was not a bipolar election. It was not
Ah,
a bipolar. It was a kind of, at least it is clear at this stage. It was more of a, you can say that it was a triangular kind of an election. One side BJP, one side Congress, and the other side all the others like the
ah.
JJP, INLD, BSP, independents, etc.
Right.
Because
Mr. Pradhan, I know that you had only agreed to stay with us till 11. It is now three
I
minutes
know, I know.
past 11.
Yeah.
Do you have to be
I
somewhere
just
else
want to
at this
ask
point?
you. Yeah, I have to.
Okay, all right,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Pradhan. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for
Thank
spending
you.
time with us.
No, no, it's
Quick
such a
question
pleasure.
before you go, though,
Always a
Mr.
pleasure to be
Pradhan.
on your show. Acha, yeah.
Um, Dera Sacha Sauda actually campaigned for the BJP. Ram Rahim was given.
We forgot about that. We forgot about Sacha Sauda. Yeah.
Did that make a
Because that
difference, you
fellow,
think?
it must have, because he has a blind following. The considering that he's a rapist, he's a murderer. Yet people in this country, unfortunately, the kind of blind faith people have, and that is the reason the BJP government very systematically got him payroll after payroll, which is, the he is less spent less time inside the jail than outside the jail, and he did campaign, and he was, so there we forgot about that factor also, and that must have also helped to address that constituency, which again goes with Hindutva. He's also in the same mold. So all the Mayawati, this chap, the Chandrasekhar Azad, all these factors put together, as uh, my friend already pointed out, that it was not a bipolar election, it was a triangular fight in which the others combined together, they made it difficult for the Congress and they dug in more into the Congress vote and helped the BJP to move
Yeah.
ahead.
All right. So I appreciate the fact that
Thank
both
you.
of our guests have to leave right now. And I thank you so much for giving us time and for giving us the extra 5 minutes that I have pulled from both of you.
No
So this is where
problem.
we are. Jammu and Kashmir seems fairly clear. The
Thanks a
National
lot.
Congress
It's always a
and the
pleasure.
Congress, yes, will form government. It's likely nearly almost that Omar Abdullah will be chief minister. In Haryana, big surprise that BJP now inching to 49 seats, out of 90. So that looks very comfortable for the BJP, even on the Election Commission website.
Absolutely.
So BJP they're snatching, victory from the jaws of defeat, and an election that was almost called this morning that turned completely on its head. Very, very interesting outcome. Thank you both, gentlemen, and thank you to our audience for joining us. It's been a
Thanks a
pleasure
lot.
to take you through
It's
this.
always a
Thank you.
pleasure to be in your show.
Thank you. For
Always.
our
Thank
audience
you.
who's
Thank
still
you.
with us, remember to like this stream, sign up for our membership if you can, or just subscribe to our channel. It will help us out. Thanks so much for being part of this live stream. I always love an interesting election that keeps us on our toes until the end, and this one's been one of those. So it started off as a very dull day this morning, but the BJP's performance in Haryana has been so interesting. I'll tell you why, because it goes against every single exit poll that gave the state to the Congress party, against all of the reporting that came out of Haryana on the ground, and the entire idea that the wrestler protest and the Agniveer scheme, the farmers' unhappiness will actually add up to a victory for the Congress. That's not what it appears to be. We're going to leave it there, but of course, my team will bring you more and more updates through the course of the day. Thank you for watching.